I'm Doyle, and today I want to talk to you about a topic that came up into my mind after watching the television show Sunday Morning. And one of the topics that had a little segment about was direction and orientation and understanding the physical directions, right? When people are out and how we know which direction is which and how we have those cues. And even out in the wilderness when you don't have certain cues that you might have, in an urban area or a suburban area. How do we know? And then they talked about some of the things that we have that are natural. They talked about a lot of animals, especially birds that when they migrate, told about how some of the birds migrate from Florida all the way up into Canada, and they nest. Sometimes they've tracked them and found that they nest within a couple of feet of where they nested the previous year. So it's a pretty strong instinct and a pretty strong sense of direction. But I think sometimes as humans, we fail to be aware of any innate instincts or bearings that we have about direction. Not necessarily about directions on the map, but directions about our life and where our lives are going. So I want to pose a question today for you to think about and for us to talk about a little bit. And that is, where are you going with your life? Where is your life going? And it's an open-ended question, and so I'm going to try to give it some boundaries for a moment. And most of the time when I think about something like that, it's where I want to be personally, where I want to be professionally, how I want to be as a person and a human being, my state of being and enjoying and happiness in life. But there are three things we got to think about when we think about where we're going. Number one is you have to start with understanding where you are, because without knowing where you are, you're going to have a difficult time understanding how to get to where you're wanting to go. Much like Alice in Wonderland and the Cheshire Cat. She stumbles upon him and says, which way should I go? And he says, where are you trying to get to? And she goes, I don't know. And then he says, it doesn't really matter which way you go. Our lives sometimes can be lived that way. We don't know where we're wanting to go, and we just amble through life. And then we look up one day and we go, well, how did I get here? How come I didn't make where I would dream when I was a child or a younger person, that I wanted to be this or wanted to do that or wanted to be at that place in life? Why we weren't there? It's because we didn't stop and, number one, determine where we are, and then think about where we're wanting to go. So that's the second thing. Know where you are, then understanding where you're wanting to go, where you're wanting to be, who you're wanting to be, where you're wanting to be, what you're wanting to be, all of those things. And once you have those 2 points, if you remember back from your freshman math class, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Now we know that sometimes life is not lived in a straight line. We divert based on circumstances, based on situations, based on decisions that we make. They take us one way for a while and then we come back. But if we know where we're starting from and we know where we're going, it's like looking at the map, right? Sometimes the map doesn't give us a straight shot. We have to go this way to get to this particular street, road, or thoroughfare, and then we go here, and then eventually we take a right, take a left, and then we can potentially end up at the destination of where we're heading. Life is like that. You have to, number one, understand where you are, answer that question. Number two, do some deep soul searching and inventory inside of yourself and say where you're wanting to go. And then sit down and talk about what kind of plan, what kind of route, what kind of actions, what kind of steps, what kinds of decisions, what kinds of behaviors do I need to do and see and make to get from where I am to where I want to be. So that's really what it's all about. We've all seen people that just seem like they just know where they're going. They know every step that they take. It's planned out. Nothing seems happenstance. And I'm not saying everything should be that way. That's not what I'm talking about at all. Part of life is the ability to live in the circumstances that we find ourselves and then guide and move ourselves toward a destination that we want. Now, there will be points along the way. There will be milestones along the way where we'll stop and reassess the direction. So as you think about where you are and where you're wanting to go, see that if this doesn't apply to you in your life, and see if you can't take a moment and reassess and say, okay, am I just ambling through life? Do I have a plan? Am I clear on what I want to do and where I want to be? And sometimes we can't think of 25 to 30 or 40 years in the future. We have to think the next week, the next year, next 2 years, things like that, to be able to get through those destinations. But if we have a greater sense of where we're wanting to go, we're wanting to go north, we're wanting to go south, we're wanting to go east or west. If we have that kind of idea, we want to go that way because this is who we are. This is what drives us. This is what keeps us excited. This is what keeps us engaged. This is what we feel like we're meant to do or be. And we make those decisions that help enable that. I think we'll find a much deeper and greater sense of fulfillment in the things that we do, and won't be feeling as lost. And then it happens to all of us, right? We sometimes feel maybe we've lost our way a little bit, and we have to take a step back and take a deep breath and reassess some things because of the busyness that we have in our lives from day to day. And sometimes it's easy to forget the mission, the goal, the objectives that we have for our life. What do you think? Does that make sense to you? Do you have a differing point of view? Do you want to live your life without knowing where you want to be, and you just want to take it one day at a time? I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I'm just saying that most people want to have a desire to be somewhere. They want to have something, they want to be something, and they want to be at a place. And the only way to do that is to think it through, at least in my estimation. If you have a different point of view, I'd love to hear your perspective as well. So leave a comment if you would. Let me know what you think about the topic today. If you liked what I talked about here, please hit the like button. I'd appreciate that. If you want to hear more of the things that I might have to say coming up, subscribe to my channel as well. I just want to leave with this thought. Much like Alice in Wonderland, what she experienced, if you don't know where you're going, it doesn't really matter which way you head. So think about that. Determine where you want to be, and then plot your course of action to get you to where you want to go. Until next time, we'll see you then. Goodbye.